All right. My sanity is not going to survive most of this episode, and I apologize for that. Y'all will just have to deal with that little bit of information. We have to talk about Roe v. Wade again. And not in the sense of like, this is the overarching thing that will happen when Roe v. Wade falls. It's already fallen. No, we're not doing that. We're doing something a little bit worse. Most of you in chat already know what we're going to have to cover. And I'm going to have to be very careful how I cover this. There is almost no chance of this thing being monetized. Let's go ahead and get into the fan art section, and then we'll get into the actual video itself. This one is from Salem, because apparently a coin, Suris drinking cat coin milk, was something that this timeline needed. None of you can be trusted with anything. Rand the Fool is correct. None of you can be trusted. The next one is from Meanie Lee Bean. I don't know why I did this, but it's almost done. That looks like something that I would honestly get, like, you know those paintings where it's like less a painting and more like a strip of fabric that's put over like a board? I don't know what to call those things, but they're like raised boxes almost. This looks like one of those that he would put in a house. It's like a conversation piece. The next one and the last one we have is from Taylor Allen. For those who don't know, Taylor is actually the one who designed the original fall model, but Taylor has decided to design a goth girl Suris. So, that's a thing with Taylor's penchant for designing things that end up making their way into channel canon. I don't know what to say. All I know is at least one of my model artists is in the chat right now, and I'm very terrified for the amount of power they currently wield. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and start this thing. I may as well go ahead and get the stupid self-plugs out of the way. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit... It feels gross saying hit the like button on the topic we're going to have to cover. Because just... Ugh. All right, let's get into it. The ramifications of the Roe v. Wade decision have already started to be felt. Ohio restricts abortions. A 10-year-old girl is having to leave the state to get an abortion procedure because they're not allowed to get the abortion procedure in their home state. A 10-year-old. A fucking 10-year-old. I don't know what to say. It should be parody. This should be something that... what's the best way to put this? This sounds like a bad joke. This reads like an Onion article. This is something that should not happen and should only happen in the realm of parody, and even then, it's very hard for me to even think about a way that you could make this a parody with it being any form of funny. And it's not just this. Let's point out, there are idiots, absolute morons on the internet who are looking at this and saying that they believe that a 10-year-old should be forced to carry to term. And if you don't believe me, Well, we'll be doing a video on this person's channel later. She's 10. Breaks my heart. But who are we to question what God is doing? He has a plan and purpose for everything, and it's not our place to try to take matters into our own hands, no matter how badly the situation hurts. I, an adult on the platform Twitter.com, have told all of you that that 10-year-old girl deserved to be raped, and if you don't believe those words, they're from God. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. If your God cannot envision a world improving with the absence of child rape, then why the fuck would any of us follow your God? To what end would any of us willingly do that? These are real things a real human being thought. And mind you, my problem isn't just that a single human being thought a dumb thing on the internet. My problem is this is a thing that multiple people think. Period. So let's get into the article. On Monday, 3 days after the Supreme Court issued its groundbreaking decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, Dr. Caitlin Bernard, an Indianapolis obstetrician, gynecologist, took a call from a colleague, a child abuse doctor in Ohio. Hours after the action, the Buckeye State had outlawed any abortion after 6 weeks. Now his doctor has a 10-year-old patient in the office who is 6 weeks and 3 days pregnant. Could Bernard help? Indiana lawmakers are poised to further restrict or ban abortions in mere weeks. The Indiana General Assembly will convene in a special session on July 25th when it will discuss restrictions to abortion policy along with inflation relief. But for now, the procedure is still legal in Indiana, and so the girl soon was on her way to Indiana to Bernard's care. While Indiana did not change laws last week when the Supreme Court issued its groundbreaking Dobbs decision, abortion providers here have felt an effect, experiencing a dramatic increase in the number of patients coming to their clinics from neighboring states with more restrictive policies. Since Friday, the abortion clinics where Dr. Katie McHugh, an independent obstetrician gynecologist, works, have seen an insane amount of requests from pregnant people in Kentucky and Ohio, where it is far more difficult to get an abortion. A ban on abortions after 6 weeks took effect last week in Ohio. Last Friday, the 2 abortion providers in Kentucky shut their doors after the state's trigger law banning abortions went into effect. Indiana could soon have similar restrictions. It's hard to imagine that in just a few short weeks, we will have no ability to provide that kind of care. So, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the kind of nation. Let's talk about the kind of world that we create when a child can be the victim of rape. And let's call it what it is. The video will likely get demonetized because I'm not using the language that YouTube's bots care about more. They would prefer I use words like assaulted or impregnated against will. No. The word is rape. That is what happened. A child cannot consent, therefore a child was raped. When a child is raped and politicians and bureaucrats go, not our problem, what kind of a nation have you actually constructed? What kind of laws and to whom do they benefit do you actually have within the geographical boundaries of your living area? Articles upon articles upon articles have been published about this situation. We're going to go through a few of them here. A 10-year-old child was denied an abortion in Ohio, traveled to Indiana to seek the care she needed. The child was able to receive the abortion in Indiana after an Ohio doctor who specializes in child abuse cases had to refer her there to Dr. Caitlin Bernard. The same thing being reported repeatedly. We're just going to click randomly. You know what? Not randomly. Let's check out Fox News. Let's check out what Fox News has to say about this. No, I'm not going to be allowing ads on Fox News if I can help it. Not fucking... There we go. Meep. Asked if South Dakota will force a 10-year-old to have a baby. Can we please? Fine. Fuck you. Turn off for this site. Fuck your ads. Also, autoplay is stupid, so I'm just going to... Wow, it takes me to a different thing entirely. Fuck off. South Dakota's Governor Kristi Noem was asked during CNN's State of the Union if her state would force a 10-year-old girl to have a baby girl in Ohio after a girl in Ohio was denied a procedure. Because this is a trigger law that will be passed before you became governor, I wanted to be clear, will the state of South Dakota, going forward, force a 10-year-old in that very same situation to have a baby? The Indianapolis Star reported Friday that the 10-year-old girl in Ohio who was 6 weeks and 3 days pregnant was unable to receive the abortion due to Ohio's law banning abortions after 6 weeks when fetal cardiac activity begins. The girl was on her way to Indiana, where an abortion ban is yet to take effect. We already know that. What's incredible is that nobody is talking about the pervert, horrible and deranged individual that raped a 10-year-old, and what are we doing about that? As much as we talk about what we can do with a little girl, I think we also need to address those sick individuals that did this to our children. Yeah, we know what child rape is. We understand that it requires a rapist. The most important thing, though, is making sure that the child does not have to carry the rapist's baby against her will. Those are two separate issues. That is a dodge. Noem said in the South Dakota state that abortions were illegal unless to save the life of a mother. Bash then asked if Noem would be okay with having a 10-year-old girl have the baby. No, I'm never okay with that. In fact, that story will keep me up at night. Bash asked if South Dakota would change its law to have an exception, but Noem did not directly address the question? Really? Oh my fucking god! She won't directly say, no, we will not force a 10-year-old to have a child. It's that easy. It is so simple. It is so nightmarishly easy to have the base amount of human decency to answer that question. How is the 10-year-old physically, probably can't even carry the baby without being, never mind emotionally and mentally tormented, but physically hurt, would you consider the life of the mother at risk? Noem said that it would be up to the doctors, family members, and those closest to her that would have to make the decision on that matter at hand. What a fucking coward! Holy fucking shit! Holy fucking shit. And it's amazing to me that when I look up this particular case, I'm trying to find Fox News reporting on it, and maybe I just don't know how to use Google. Maybe I don't. But it's very strange to me that I do not see a Fox News case, like a Fox News article reporting on that, giving their opinions, weighing in on the fact that a 10-year-old, because of something that they wanted, was forced to have an abortion not in their home state with their home doctor, but with a random person in a random other state. It is amazing to me that Fox News does not have anything on this. Can anybody find an article where they specifically give, like, their reporters' opinions on this? Or does Fox just not talk about shit that's important and instead worries about radicalizing boomers? Explain that one to me. If Fox mentioned it all, it would crater their stupid argument. Yeah, it's amazing that the only thing that they say is bringing up Kristi Noem. Let's see here. I don't know who she is. I'm going to make it a... Yep. Republican. Okay, cool. That settles that. You know, every single time that I see something like this, I want to remind myself that Republican politicians are just evil. I'm comfortable saying that now. Republican voters may not be evil. At the very most, many of them are probably just ignorant to what they're voting for. But Republican politicians, certainly a handful of Democrats too, but all people who align themselves with the Republican Party, I'm perfectly fine just saying ontologically evil at this point. Big Angus says, wait, she's been governor since 2019. How long has the trigger law been in place then? You got to remember, trigger laws have been put in 13 states, and they've been there for a while. I agree with you on Republicans being evil. My dad keeps on insisting I should be scared of leftists for some reason. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some leftists you should be scared of. There are some leftists who are pieces of shit. But by and large, over and over again, we keep seeing human rights being restricted by the Republican Party. And they always hide behind the smokescreen defense of, like, we're the party that freed the slaves. No, the fuck you're not. The party called the Republican Party that freed the slaves, and the party post-Southern strategy that calls itself the Republican Party are two completely different things. We'll look at one more article. Let us look at the Hill's one. The Hill tends to be fairly balanced. 10-year-old girl was denied abortion in Ohio after the Supreme Court ruled last week on its overturning of Roe v. Wade, demonstrated the tangible impacts that a high court's decision have on patients seeking medical care. Child abuse doctor, we already got all that. Patient is now heading west Indiana. Several groups filed a lawsuit seeking to block the state law from taking effect on Wednesday. An emergency stay of the abortion ban was rejected by the Ohio Supreme Court on Friday, meaning that the ban can be upheld as the case is reviewed. Congratulations, Ohio Supreme Court. Had the girl in question not had the financial ability, and as a 10-year-old, that was entirely a roll of the goddamn dice, had she not had the financial privilege to go to another state, then you would be directly responsible for the forced impregnation of a 10-year-old. Indiana could soon find itself getting its own abortion law. Yep, we already know about that. So all these articles, for the most part, are going to be saying the same thing. So now we have to throw it to you in the comment section. Do you think it's okay for a 10-year-old to be forced to carry to term? Would you, like Kristi, be a coward and throw the conversation out the window so that you can then talk about what we already all agree on? People who hurt children are bad. Congratulations, you cleared the low bar. The bar that is lower than the water level. You managed to clear it. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. Would you deflect to the lowest bar imaginable, calling a child predator bad? Or would you go higher than that bar and accept that 10-year-olds should not be forced to carry to term? If we want to talk about letting kids be kids, then maybe we should let kids be kids and not force them to be mothers or potentially die in the pregnancy. Maybe it says the culprit was the uncle. Ah, cool. Now that we know, may their lifespan be very short. You're actually shocked that Indiana doesn't have a trigger law? Well, trigger laws are only in 13 states. For now. Oh, boy. But that's all I got for that one. It is insane to me that we live in a country right now that is having to have these kinds of conversations. When I started on YouTube, the argument about abortion was basically a settled one. Like, people bitched and whinged and moaned back and forth about it, but we already had legal abortion, with restrictions I don't agree with. We already had legal abortion in the States, so that just kind of was how things was. Or was how things were. And yet now, awkwardly, we've rolled back 50 years. We've stepped into a time machine. We've walked out, and all of the people are currently eating just piles of shit on the ground and saying, no, trust me, it's good. It's got nutrients. My dog does it. It's like we stepped into a bizarro world where going backwards in time was great. But you know, this isn't surprising considering the breadth of conservative logic that talks about the good old days, which magically is always sometime 50 years ago-ish. Well, congratulations, you got your sometime 50 years ago-ish. A 10-year-old almost had to carry a baby to term. A baby that was put there against their will and consent. You've won. You've created your ideal world. Do you like it? It's like the fucking end of Evangelion when Shinji creates a world where everybody gets turned into fucking orange Fanta. And then realizes belatedly that maybe that was the wrong move. Maybe that was a move done by an immature person who didn't know any better, and when he suddenly had the power to enact his wish, he made the world much worse. Oops, all genocide. Sorry to spoil a 25-year-old anime for anybody. But okay, that's enough there. That's enough with all of that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do all the social media stuff that makes YouTube happy. And as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.